Warning: All Things Crime is a true crime production that may contain violent or disturbing material. Viewer or listener discretion is advised. What's it like meeting one of the heroes of Benghazi? Stay tuned and check it out. Hey guys, Jared here. I am in San Antonio, Texas. I'm at a homicide investigators conference, and as I travel around the world and come to some of these conferences, I get to meet all sorts of amazing investigators, everywhere from detectives to crime scene investigators, even prosecuting attorneys, defense attorneys, you name it. I have this amazing opportunity to meet people from all walks of life, really, that are within the investigation process and even the justice system. And I learn more and more every day, but even equally as important is meeting people that they bring in that have such an amazing influence on law enforcement especially. And I had that opportunity last night. I actually met one of my heroes, if you will, a guy named John Tegan, codenamed Tig, and he was one of the survivors of the terrorist attacks against the Benghazi consulate and the CIA complex, and it was highlighted in that movie 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. And heard his story last night, met him really briefly, talked with him briefly, and what a stud, man alive. What those guys lived through was absolutely incredible, and the fact that any of them survived is just so miraculous. One of the things that, first of all, he dispelled some rumors that I had heard, and one of them was that Hillary Clinton had specifically called off and told the military to stand down, and basically ordered that those guys not go to Ambassador Stevens' aid. So I thought that part was really interesting, because he said there's no proof, and he has never heard specifically that Secretary Clinton had been the one to instigate the order. Now, whether that's relevant or not isn't really the point. But what is the point, and this is another thing that I always kind of thought had happened, but wasn't really 100% sure, and that is that our military, which we had assets all over the Mediterranean, Italy, different areas, and our military, once they had heard that Americans were in trouble in Benghazi, our military had spun up, and there were guys actually in the air on their way to go help our folks in Benghazi, and they were given a stand down order. Now, I don't know at what level that order has to come from, but it's definitely at the general level, and most likely at the very, very high politician level. So if you think about who was in charge in 2012, that should tell you everything you need to know. Now, why is this important? It's especially important to understand how this relates with what our current law enforcement are going through, and specifically in the big cities like New York and LA, Houston, all those kind of areas, and how our law enforcement is being treated, because they are being abandoned just like those soldiers and those Americans in Benghazi were abandoned. Just like there are many US citizens and US allies that have been abandoned in Afghanistan. There's a trend here, and I hope all of you can see it. And if you think about who is in charge when these things happen, that should tell you everything you need to know. So there are, as a veteran, and especially as a former Army Ranger, you never leave a man behind. And to me, that means any US citizen. If that person is a US citizen, I've been out of the military for going on 20 years now, and I'll tell you what, to this day, if I heard of an American citizen that was in charge, and I don't care who it is, if I heard of an American citizen that is in trouble, if there's a weapon nearby, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to go help that person. And that's just the way we roll. You know, that's where true Americans really come through. And to me, it is just inexplicable, if I can talk today. It is absolutely unforgivable that we would leave American citizens behind and abandon them. And I 100% know, and I heard it from John Tegan's mouth last night, that there were assets that were spun up, and he knew that they had entered Libya airspace when they were ordered to stand down and turn around. Now, it doesn't matter if it was just a helicopter full of guys. That would have changed all the events that happened that night, including, it may not have saved Ambassador Stevens. That is 100% on the CIA station leader's shoulders right there. And I hope he's going to go to his grave knowing that he was the direct cause of an ambassador and another American citizen dying that night. Because, and by the way, Ambassador Stevens wasn't tortured. They found him, and there were some American-friendly Libyans who had found him in the consulate and taken him to the hospital, and they determined that he had died of smoke inhalation. Well, so that, there's a lot of rumors that have been dispelled, a lot of things that weren't necessarily clear with the movie, which makes sense. But to me, again, I'm going to get back to this point of you do not leave American citizens behind in danger. And I look back again. So I think we're 3 months removed from when we pulled out of Afghanistan, and to this day, there are still American citizens. There are still interpreters and people that worked with Americans over there, with our forces, that helped our forces to. It's just, to me, I'm still reeling from what I heard last night, and I'll tell you, it still just makes me sick to my stomach. And man, it's just, here I am in San Antonio. It's this gorgeous day. The weather down here is close to perfect, and I'm free to say whatever I want to say. I'm enjoying the freedoms that this country has, and I'll tell you, all of it is under attack, because there are people in this world that want to diminish and undermine everything that America stands for. And as much as it sickens me to say it, some of our leaders, whether they are conscious of it or not, are contributing to it. And if we're not careful, we are going to lose our freedoms permanently. And part of that comes from the fact that we're not loyal to each other anymore. You know, there's so many things that our forefathers would never have thought possible, and part of that is an American leader leaving citizens behind and leaving people in the hands of enemies and not going after them. It's like, I know every single law enforcement, every single military guy that I have ever been associated with, if you told them that some of their fellow citizens needed help, they would be in the car, they would be on the plane, they would be on their way, and even to the loss of their own life, they would not allow fellow citizens to be abandoned like that. That's just not how we function. And the fact that it has happened over and over, it has happened multiple times, it's documented. The only thing that hasn't happened is people held accountable for it. And it makes me sick to my stomach. And I just, you know, hearing that again last night brings back a lot of memories of back in 2012 when that actually happened on 9/11. There were all sorts of things that, you know, including an entire military base that was basically put as non-deployable on 9/11 of all days. It's just, I mean, some of the stupidity that happens and some of the decisions that you hear about in hindsight, you just look at them and you're going, what were you thinking? And what happened on 9/11 in 2012 is definitely one of them. And that entire night was just screwed up from top to bottom, and there's just absolutely no excuse for it. And, you know, but again, look at who was in charge, and that should tell you a lot. And you know what? Our law enforcement today are being abandoned in very similar ways, and it has to stop, because if we don't support our law enforcement guys, especially if you're in business in the US right now and you're listening to my voice, if you are in business and you think, go back to some of my other episodes and listen to Evil, the Beast, and the Buffet. But I'll just sum it up for you right now. If you are in business and you think your business is safe when the law enforcement in your community are being undermined, frankly, you're a fool, because you are not going to be capable of conducting business if the law enforcement in your community is defunded or their hands are tied, that they can't protect you. All you have to do is go to San Francisco and look at all the Walgreens that are boarded up. They've been closed. And that alone should tell you what your future is and what your business is. Even if you work at home, nothing is going to be safe. And I'll tell you, we better fix this. We better fix it fast. So, I just wanted to make this quick note, guys. I'm going to put some video in here. And so if you're listening to this on a podcast and you want to see some of the video, then go to our YouTube channel. But please subscribe and please share this, and let's get the message out and let's start fixing this. So talk to you guys later.